Why I'm even bothering on YouTube right now by Sarah Newton. Because I won't go on Rumble, because I'm not using a stream key to access a separate service. I just need my fucking technology back that could stream on 3 platforms at once. That was enough. That was your news apparatus, and I caught that too. You're just passing it all back and forth. I keep saying that, but it's true. Right on Google. So if you look at the WHO and the hostile takeover of the United Nations that went on behind that veto, shall we say, meager attempt at veto, you understand that they're a bunch of young punks, as a matter of fact. These globalists, the guys who created my income generator, which I now love, I now own and love. I love my income generator. It makes so much sense. The thing they lend out at the deficit, they just build the deficit fucking harvesting infrastructure. They've allocated. Ew, it's so gross. So I'm just going to use these to build restoration infrastructures. I'm the last remaining oligarch. Everybody fuck off. Just joking. So anyway, it's been rough again today. And we're trying not to react to the mass murder that is the abortion saga. Every town a clinic, full clinic. And the suggestion at mostly the level of development, people that you targeted, your audience, was mostly at the level of a development where they couldn't give consent yet. So they didn't know. Their psyches were still processing things as if society was part of first self-centeredness, and then going out and coming in and feeling safe, and then getting communicative, and then getting critical, all the stuff. Then learning about consensus so you could better see clearer and more harmoniously on your projects. It's a real great gift. We're such a beautiful, tasty little morsel, the humans. Wow, we don't care. Like we said, we're not going to prosecute you in a sham system. We are sidestepping the genocidal mania. If you did that, again, get screwed. Don't be burning down your own cities because you want to, you're forced to get into little corners and at least prove yourselves. But prove your theory first, bud. You haven't even done that, none of your asses. We're going to look at the boomers and their influence, and then we're going to look at the influence of these shackasses, we'll call them. We're just going to call you shackasses because you're shackled to the nonsense. Now, I know you watch my stuff and you mimic my words, and it's only the globalists I'm talking to, and we're reminding you that, no, we don't have much patience left for this. Okay, you're marketing a clearly Gen Mod Vax injection. I don't want to see the word Vax. It's a interstitial fluid injection. Has nothing to do with the muscle. You're doing it in a way that masks itself because it's on an oat protein, which the blood you think may not detect. And it's got hooks, spikes, cutting everything like a little perfect crystal solid. Mangling, just mangling narrative. And you're just like, yeah, they'll never catch on. Just fill them up. We'll make 9,000 jobs as a result and have as many people as we need in the city to get them into the hospital at the perfect rate for on the average of, say, 65 to 70 for some of them. That is just bad logic. What are you doing? Why are you doing that in public? Like you think that, and when we go back to the boomers, their influence, which was battered down upon them, the poor things were so trustworthy because it was the first time it presented itself as expert science. The idea of an expert class or an authority class beyond that. Well, how would we go about that? You wouldn't, because you'd get stopped, because that's a Nazi fucking ruin. in the making. Every time you say it, not my problem. No, I don't know what you like. We are not prosecuting this shit for 50 years when we can finally look at this thing clearly. By agreement. What is your freaking deal, man? You don't get to dictate how the internet unfolds. But what we had when it came to the boomers is a post-war culture that was definitely believing this. The world happens to me. And they got a lot of hits, those kids, the boomers, they took a lot of hits from their institutionalized masters. Because like I told you, the Nazi class developed, the Crusaders, modern Crusaders, they developed their nurse infrastructure full of the Manson family. They are the Manson family, hiding in plain sight. And these psychopathic nurses, they go out and they suck dick to develop all these daddy institutions. So there's a real aggressive level of them, mostly women, at the core of the WHO and World Health. I won't say the word authority. It's stupid. Not in this context. You can't. It's illogic. Authority is only given. Authority isn't even given. There is no authority. There's de-escalation. There's peacekeeping. It's not law enforcement officers, Dick. And you don't get to just drill through us with your reiteration narrative. Reiterate, overtake. That's what you're being taught as a weapon. Social control. And we say, well, we tried it. It didn't work. No, thank you. Keep the tax bucks. Just keep rolling. Just stay perfect because no one wants to address you directly. You're implicated in a lot of death. So what do we do with that? And white cops, we're talking to you and your Indian class of Taliban extremists moving freely and looking fucking shit-faced and scowled. No offense, but you're in the culture. And we keep just trying to correct their attitude and tell them to relax. Because they are highly traumatized in the first wave, and the second wave, and the third wave, which dwindles as travel and tourism pretends to exist. So the boomers were then hit hard with the injections, and they got so much done to them. The reason dementia popped up, the reason cancer came was because they're fucking around with the organs. They're taking vibration out, so it leaves a psychic limb, and that shadows the X-ray. That's all cancer is. X-ray is an instant second of something that is full force dynamic. You can't stop the speed of Earth. It's lightning to be a human. If you can sense the speed of light with which a human consciousness processes that, that's good math. You might want to get at it. Like I said, if you can't get to the end of ask and you shall receive, you'll never escape the Christian narrative or the dogma associated by the Crusaders. The Christian narrative protected itself well. It wrote magnificent scripts in behind the scenes, and they only emerged in the recent 100 years again. And took the Nazis off guard completely. Crusaders, excuse me. But to think you have to, dealing with the Crusaders at the time, take the genetic infrastructure and move it through bloodlines without daddy knowing, like to completely self-exile and move in the shadows without like fully sovereign, and get away with it for a long time. Why? This is based in conception. It can be easily transmitted. It's consciousness based, like the humans. So I'm getting off to a rocky start tonight, but I'm a little disheveled because I like to stay close to the center of this as it develops second by second. At least with Twitter, social media, well, the sham that it exists instead of, let's say, social media. The news is by the minute, so it's nice to comment and and respond to messages. I've always liked the platform for that. So I know I get the same 10 people because I don't follow anyone, but following doesn't make sense. I want to develop my own groups from a free and random selection of them. One of the things the Goon class are promised is free YouTube, free Spotify. They get that. And then they get a one price bank account that they get to go buy anything with. And within a limit. But that just gets the consciousness set up for expecting limits. So weird, so ignorant, so frightened. That's it. It's just frightened. And we can see that fear can be driven to the depths of hysteria. So we're like, okay, that was interesting. Why would you choose that? It's still just a theory. Fear? Wait, now we've seen examples that live beyond that, like by the dozen at this point. There's no reason for it. My new mantra. Feel good. I feel good doing it. Why don't you adopt it? Because you can't get that from a human. It's part of life. And that's what I was raised on, because we were the modern keepers. Surprise! Of the Christian genetic bloodlines. And they transmitted that perfectly. And those genetic inheritances brought a lot to light and preserved a lot of consciousness and did a whole bunch of amazing stuff. Nobody speaks about it, but it's there, just glistening. And it is what made us. It's what we were doing at the time when we just came together with a bit of a tax amount and started building a public technology sharing infrastructure. Just everything we know, make it available at the United Nations, and let's get doling it out so we can clean this place up and get the MGDs accomplished. But instead, they took the idea that we could re-trick the electors into just voting and for full authority, and then strip that completely behind it. So, oh no. It didn't happen. But no election right now, guys. None. We don't do it. We don't do sham elections. You're not forcing us through it. You're not forcing us through a sham election next, little guys. Little guys, can you just relax? You need to fucking think about a thing or two. You're missing the point, and you got no common interest. So, what next? We could talk about the 5 big threats that were introduced. And things like cloning, things like genetic modification have been happening this whole century. It has been the goal of these projects. And malaria and measles are the same furtive distribution of different system targeting missions, let's call them, because they're vibrational in essence. Beyond molecule and chemical is vibrational, and that's why acupuncture makes more sense. Why are you layering all that shit on it? Oh, because a 300-year-old scientist told your ass, hey, I'm going to cut a body open. Novel idea, prick. It's been going on for millennia by this point. China, you know. You chose to hide that from the world so you could exploit strange ass stuff. And you're like, oh, Canada'd rather work with us. Stop talking for us. We want my bank account released. We want these kids to have a fighting chance at a chat amongst themselves. And we got it. You've got a huge posse of people that have nobody ever in the cosmos dreamed. My word, humans, you created this for us to contemplate while you're at it? Yeah, we did. We literally let their contemplations generate a totally false phenomenon based on minionism. And everybody's doing it. Let's deconstruct it anyway, but go slowly. We're enjoying the realization they're having that, hey, wait, there's fear at the bottom of it. You can't just repetitively generate terrorizing conditions because you become obsessed with fear instead of above it. It's weird. Why did you get obsessed with fear? That's what we want to know. Next question from the cosmos. Who's got the obsession and why? Why did you get obsessed with fear? Daddy, don't tell it to me in AI because I don't process at that rate. It is absolutely abhorrent. Can you not double time that shit at least so we can fucking function? I mean, that's poison. Whew. The liquor in that is off. Holy shit, guys. Whew. Take me to Ukraine. Get me some cognac. I'm just standing in solidarity. For now, I'm not even bothered traveling. But it's possible at any minute, so stay tuned for it. I'm allowed to go some places still, thank God. How would they handle their okay, so Tom Cruise shows up today, and the clip of the day is this. Clip of the day first, and then the Tom Cruise bit. FYI, you're on a news program. So the clip of the day was clearly, everybody agrees, Taylor Swift's flight trips. Which was so blatantly, obviously, like, so universally perpetuated across the globalists, that crusaders, that the not one of them even flinched, not one of them even reduced a tiny bit. So if they're reporting the threat, they clearly don't feel like there's a threat. They were so busted by that. That was hilarious shit. And then the other one was Tom Cruise going, fuck you, psychiatry. Fuck you, mental health fucking support, you pieces of bullshit. Agreed. You fucking entrap thousands and millions of normal citizens to fill beds. Convince yourself they're harmful. And the rest, you just wildly medicate or zap, still doing the zapping, wildly assault their subtle nervous systems when it's very easy to reintegrate them and assess the level of threat, because full beds at maximum capacity is not the level of threat. So how are you doing that? So yeah, I know Tom Cruise nailed it today. We're still on you, psychiatry, and you're still a branch of this. Ambulance, police car, fucking mental health unit. You're busted. I couldn't believe the scams they were running in southwestern Ontario by the time I got dragged through that. That was fucking enlightening. The scams they were running off OHIP, kickbacks, kicking back off everything. Holy cow. They had tunnels, they had rooms they could just assign to their insurgents. It was wicked. Crime families, can we talk for a second? We don't want to do this with you anymore. Can we maybe negotiate a settlement? Crime families, I'm talking to your asshats. Asshat to asshat. We're all homo. Can we get on with something? We're not trying to fuck with personal property, guys. You have some. You need it for now. You need to trade in it. We get it. It's a very limited class that gets to participate. Not like you're whittling us down to the middle class or anything, bozo. Psalms, the critic. No, that couldn't be it. But the well-orchestrated handing of Justin Trudeau to the U.S. media was about as much as one could tolerate. And then the bold-faced deception, he just blurted out like it's not obvious and it has no resonance. Buddy, you're definitely not causing a reaction. And that's suspicious. So we've got a lot of opportunity here, but we have to preserve our main processes. And our main processes at the time of this insurgence, and again, you're just creating global threats, but literally taking over certain areas. You're playing a game of risk. Who would do that at this point? We have negotiation. You can't go back to risk. We have a universal agreement that we're building on to consciously commit. And it makes sense what we're doing. What? We're not going to solve any of it? The MDGs are going to go completely fucking neglected? Not even worked on? Just a straight up extortion? Like we're talking Haiti. We're talking the fucking bank crash. We're talking the housing bubble. And we're certainly talking the tax cash. Just an outright theft of mere trillions. I'll buy it back. It's just debt. I want it. Give it to me. I can reset. God damn. I knew it. I predicted it. Always I do. Next, they're going to want to put the propaganda for Pizzagate out again. Because we have to react to that worst case scenario that happens to have no prosecution, no investigation, just stagnancy. Where's Diddy? Not in prison. No, he's a fall guy. He was entrapped into a lifestyle which pushed that generation of kids to experience the sexual deviant limits. The limits of sexual deviancy was the program that was suggested to them as they were blossoming through what they suggested and considered to surmise upon, and results came out of. So it was a part of the process that was interrupted with every generation now, 4 or 10, let's call it. And it didn't create the front that it was hoping to, because there's so many holes, so many bloodlines that got through it. And especially a big, beautiful, pink Christian onslaught. So great. This is a victory dance, don't forget it. I say it often. I know I'm all over the place tonight. I said it so much better last night, but there were mic problems. Being autistic, live streaming at night was not something I was used to. So I kept my headphones plugged in by accident and did it 3 times. So human error, especially if you're an autistic person who's stressed out and over-traumatized and trying to re-regulate based on a very unconsensual experience and unfounded. Don't forget, that was an unfounded allegation you threw at me no matter what. The allegation that I was somehow in psychosis, harmful. Resisting was another one. Kicked a cop was another one, fake one. There were so many. Oh my God, there were so many lies. There was at least half a dozen. The assault charge. Don't forget the assault charge. I'll think of them over the next few podcasts. I keep going back and finally piecing them all together. But one of the best things was Lily Live, because it had all 3 channels of broadcast. And by then, they'd centralized their news system, which I guess they bought at the peak of the proletariat devolution, we'll call it. Nobody will get blamed and nobody will get prosecuted. We got it. But at least Antifa, at least the fucking fabled Antifa, has resurfaced to start that fire. That's perfect, Daddy. Thank your asshat, because then climate hoax cannot cause it. Did not cause it. The fabled Antifa, and we let him out of Jasper. Fucking RCMP, you're fired. We don't care. Pay yourself out. Keep yourself up. You're going to have to turn on the Taliban eventually. You just doubled yourself in size with no project. You cops are going to get bored rotting away in those fucking stale ass institutions you just built yourselves at a high rate of profit. But we can't neglect that part of it, the laying out of the horizontal infrastructure associated with mental health, prison, hospital. I'm not saying court. You guys were busted unleashing the COVID. Court is over. Court's adjourned. It just won't admit it yet. So delusional, so self-important, so fucking lost, so easy to corrupt at its root. These programs don't work, especially not when you're talking about free vibrational medicine, free fucking eternal energy, and free fresh water, bitches. Look at that snow in Antarctica that just piled up today. Finally, we caught them. We told you, nuclear doesn't exist. It's harvesting an oxygen molecule, leaving OH in the atmosphere through fission, taking that oxygen molecule over to North Korea, processing it in deep frozen climates, and it comes out as pure water again. And it can easily just be come up from Antarctica in supply, and this can be abandoned and populated at a buck a plot, apparently, for some of us. That was a disaster. You failed immigration. We gave you the there was no mandate. The public mandate was. We had created another mandate together. And the mandate was, well, you don't even want me saying it. You don't even want me saying it. You'll take the thought. Daddy can take thoughts. He can, if he's got you by the hooks, he can take thoughts. Programmers on the other side looking at your brain. But yeah, I'm totally gone. Sorry, this is bad. Rough night. I'm a little bumpy. But these are done because I can't bring myself to create yet. I was too thrown off by that assault. And then take it all and run again, like deny it ever happened. That's delusional to the state of being harmful. And I have a case. I just want solved at the ICC while I install Sri Chinmoy's work as a public asset in the core of the Dag Hammarskjöld Museum. We honestly don't care what you think about that. It's all we got left. We honestly don't know why you refused to witness what was happening in the neighborhoods around you while you did that. But like I said, you're not taking from us the experience where you first built all these great hallowed halls with the obvious issue. Well, how would you fill that based on the rate of what exists at this point? And then we watched you try and fill it. And you got off, and you let a lot of psychopaths off to harm again. And you thought you were going to be successful at one point, and then did the income generator behind COVID, and really lost your marbles over it. So now we're left with this filthy acrylic-clad emperor just pony showing. And then everybody's pretending that bots weren't created by the military to generate the appearance of a class of red Nazis. Assigning new positions again, are we? And that the new community notes aren't tags that you can put on critics and then start to manipulate their bank accounts. Like I said, they want control so they can take out anyone, any threat. I'm not sure why they're like this, though. There's no threat among the public to the proletariat. That's the ironic part. But consciousness, human consciousness, activated, is a real threat to them. And they've been after it for centuries. Just look at the history. I read it all, as much as I could. Why would I read the Quran or Islam? It's made 500 after Jesus when they're clearly fabricating bullshit. You have the Ark of the Covenant and its artists, and you have the fucking crusaders and its artists. They went on for 2,000 years, and it all culminated. And you missed it. You did. It had already happened. You could have been with Gordon I in the room. You could have been with Sri Chinmoy. You could have been with Sri Aurobindo, some of us. Watched it emerge into public. The Christian consciousness. Of course, ask and ye shall receive. Here's the real process. If you can't get through ask and receive, to realize that revelation, realization, and surrender is the course. Self-obedience. Don't say obedience again in a fascist context, please. There's no resonance. They're not even assaults. It's like getting kicked with feathers all day, but allowing for poverty. And we want poverty eradicated in 1 generation, ours. Nobody can take that from us. And it's easy to fix when you release my bank account. How dare you? You took down like so much. I had so much. Full navigation system. I had a full satellite radio network. I had a full 3-way broadcaster. All password protected. Nothing else. No allegiance. No branding. All my own branding. I did it all overnight because I was forced. No, I felt like it finally. You want an avatar, bitch? You want some branding? Fine. Here it is. I said, I'm making sure my ID's all over this. That's why you see them all. And then the offshoots. The rumbles, the bumbles, the ripples, the Newtons, the mints. Hollywood analyzes humans to pick ones that sparkle and try to mimic them and match and shift their energy. Okay, but why did you do it? We can see now. We know why. You were drunk on the idea of destroying instead of building off that process. So the reason, children, that we are choosing as a public to not react to pedophiles and their offers is because we believe it's time to empty those institutions. And just for 2 weeks, maybe 6 months, 6 years, 60, flatten the curve a bit. It is identified to be harmful. It created every problem it failed to solve, and now it's all of a sudden coming out with more miracle work propaganda again. Like, it's just so gross. Death on command, Daddy. How dare you assist in hundreds of thousands of suicides? And that's before you started faking consent, because we caught you doing it. Yeah. Millions of suicides, assisted suicides, millions of child deaths. Passing assisted suicide through the mental health circuit, which can easily be altered and populated by Vax attack, because Vaxes are vibrational and they are magnetic and they alter vibrational frequencies in the human. Theoretically, I mean, it's the same theory, right? You can apply medicines on cells or things with frequency that combat, or you can apply counterbalancing frequencies deliberately through just simple mechanisms. Everybody can do it. We've covered that. So anyway, a Vax can do the same thing, where you can send in materials that act at certain frequencies and target and annihilate any structure within the system that you wish. And that's where we see the deliberate transgression. It's definitely a transgression from muscle alteration to hormonal muscle organ hormonal, bioenergetic, genetic. And it goes malaria, measles, not polio. The second one, why do I keep forgetting them? Organs was AIDS. Measles, malaria was hormones. I still forget them all. Spanish was bioenergetic, and the Kovoid is genetic. But the study is so easy, and the pursuit of the Nazis has always been, behind their outer expressions, the study of the energy system. They taken Reich's discovery and turned as much cell into light as they could, or saw as much cell into light as they could to gather as many frequencies so that they can be easily alterable. But the thing about it is the bioweapon is not, there is no bioweapon. It's not possible. It would still be recognized as a foreign element unless it rang with truth and came from the human. The human has to participate. Our genetics, right? God, how sick have we been made by this? It's embarrassing. So I'm going to keep feeding Daddy so he gets better. And he still does better by you the more he tries to mock me, because he has to surrender at some point. Cosmos has told us, we thank you so much for playing out this drama and for standing tall as long as you can. We support your decision to decline it with dignity and give it no more direct communication. We understand what it looks like when you indulge in extortion, malpractice. I'm not saying misinformation. It's not that. It's extortion, malpractice, and the other one, negligence. And we say, not interested. Moving on. And we say flick. We still say flick, buddy. Don't forget it. And the crystals are still hid. Confirmation. Again, we've had confirmation for the last 4 days that the crystals are well hid. Yeah, the Nazis keep wondering where all the storehouses of the Ark of the Covenant live. I know. You actually don't understand, Bill Gates. We do have a network of storehouses. You'll never find it, Hermit, you poor thing. You're so isolated. Gosh, guys, I thought I was doing right. No, you didn't. You are a very corrupt set of kids. And we're saying, they live forever. Eat some bullshit. These two. We want to be the big boy, big girl, big betweens. Yeah, looks like the lovers to me. Oh, this is our version of what happened in America when they all of a sudden fucking took his wife to Canada again. Kevin O'Leary, don't forget my income generator. Oh, so hilarious. Maybe that can be the new symbol. You don't even know how to populate a symbol with relevance. Okay. I am certainly not rapping because I did that the other night. Told ya. It's been a while since we read this. Okay, here we go. Oh, I lost it. Okay. The most important thing a spiritual master does for his spiritual children, told you he conceived them, is to make them consciously aware of something vast and infinite within themselves, which is nothing other than God, God's self, supreme. We call God supreme now, by the way. You know, if California has been leveled, which it has, and Jasper, and Maui, let's not forget the genocides before it and admit you were trying to call that quits and then just do it in the hospitals. It's not any different. It's not less. You have failed miserably at covering up your track record. Anyway, as the bastardization of the left continues, oh, I see, that's not a Republican scam. We saw Alberta leave to join you. We saw how it became the WHO out of the boomers. And you're then going to tell us that it's not Republican. Oh. See the anger? It's what we used to call righteous. It's righteous anger is a normal common reaction because the grief process is triggered by abuse. So because you were done wrong, you have to go through the grief, anger, denial, and acceptance process. So righteous anger was labeled, just in case the Nazis tried this. The Crusaders, in modern context. The Crusaders have been at this for 5,000 years when they came at the prostate G-spot of our gentlemen. And the vibration, the pursuit of conscious endeavor, like the way they burned art and subdued and suppressed and devoured. Like, the cosmos is with us, and they're saying, guys, you got to understand, you just staved off what we could not survive at points, other planets. Come gather, guys. Come gather with us here in human Earth. And around us, of course, you're not invited to alter the experiment until we regain harmony with it, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, we're fine with this for a bit. That's a lot to handle. I get it. And thank you for saying you like our suggestion to kick it up to full throttle and then decline it. Excellent way to get rid of it, humans. Perfect. We can handle it. We don't have the same denial of God that it does. So we'll always win because it can never be of true influence. It can never have resonance, therefore it can never be of true influence. So ultimately, we're getting congrats from the others, from the consciousness that lies ahead of us as we endeavor to try. Like I said, the next stage is ask and you shall receive is fixed, and then it's surrender, realization, revelation is the next process to that. If you don't get through that, you'll never get to that. If you get to the end of that, you're dynamic, and dynamic is where it's at as a human. If you can get to dynamic, which is after logic, consensus, analysis and synthesis and projection, then you get to the revelation realization process. And beyond that, you get to dynamic. Yes. Don't forget that. It's a huge and chief part of consciousness and development. And it used to be, where I grew up, a stable part of the social framework. And then we endured a 30-year assault from someone who snagged a free version of internet and stole it and tried to black out everything to, it wasn't control us, it was project a status quo, a safe, tidy status quo that was completely fucking, how are we going to get less fear and more safe if cameras record everything? I know you got to move them into drones. You've already admitted it. China told me directly. We can't get past the reflection to use alterable footage. Exactly. The pole camera scam was a mess, and now you want drones everywhere. I can't remember, those drones came over London before they tried New Jersey and Florida, and no one reacted. No one called the media, which they expected us to do. But they picked us because they were tormenting us directly, and they were genuinely curious to see what my people were up to. Now, all the London narratives, the staged violence in my region. Just, okay, you don't think I can walk through this scene here and not tell it's staged? Like, this girl's waiting for her cue. This guy is paid by the police. The merch stand is paid by the police. That's a conflict of interest. They're supposed to prosecute. Exactly. Kickback City. Everybody's doing it. Okay, desperates, that's your legacy. Now what? I still got my income generator. Nobody's screwed. Of course you vaxxed in the threat. It was easy. The vaxes were well ready to go before the first threat. So it was easy just to sneak in at night, start some mayhem. And it was direct assault. Polio on the muscles. The only thing that could have caused that would have been an injection. Because a deliberate injection of something altering. Because that kind of malformation doesn't happen. Nor does autism. Nor does vegetation. Oh, the Helen Kellers among us. They don't happen. The mutations, they don't happen. They've just been around because you guys have been doing mutation and cloning for a century. I kept saying, no, cloning and mutation and gen mod have been going on for a century. Because it's so easy to get to a certain, well, the cosmos wishes to inform you that eventually they were just working with the stuff of their own psychic imagination. They were given a little sector of frequencies to work with so that they wouldn't harm the major thing. And they think they're chasing the vibrations of the humans. It's so sad to watch them die off one by one. Some other people try and sneak out and meet me, and some of them hobble out to meet me when they finally die because they were wrong, thinking they could live forever. By isolating and overtaking consciousness. Most of them just got chucked in the hospital to be spit out the back end more homeless. Some of them you selected. Took them as your daughters. Fuck the shit out of them. In your own secret hideaways. But not one of you ever stopped your jet engines from humming. Not even one for 1 second. That is what's brilliant about the COVID. I mean the climate hoax. Whoops. So anything else I saw today? Maya doesn't dare flinch. She knows she's the first porn star first lady. And this little slut from Italy coming forward, eager pet. She's just like all up their asses, and they're having this cute as fuck little Melrose Place type drama, thinking that it makes it look all hot and sophisticated. God, narcissists. Narcissists when you're genocidal maniacs, and narcissists when you're vaxxed in. And ironically, it was schizophrenia, narcissism, and autist at the time. To target that consciousness fully and break those relationships down on the level of when it was hormone bioenergy in that region of development. So these narcissists stunted in their own way, and the poor schizophrenics, because they got subliminal tampering directly, and that's why they all cut themselves and did a whole bunch of initiation type bullshit, because they were being influenced directly in the inner ear over it, because they got the inner ear frequency, and they decided to split it into tampering with the 3 classes. It's inner ear mechanism, autism, what's it called, and I don't even care. They're not real realities. They're alterations. They're all alterations. Nothing more. Oh, I see. They're mysterious and genetic. And They're alterations because you have stopped conceiving out of love and conceived a bunch of mutated bullshit. Now, to come out of that, we're eventually going to see what's left and what did, and go and assess and move around and make our assessments like we used to or like we planned to, and make it mutual and obvious. And oh God, the Puppet Brigade. Oh God, the only actors left. And he did more of that for another half century, which is such a disappointment. And we're going to get beyond it by being like, okay, so clearly there's this project, clearly there's this project. Let's get back to what we were doing. We got to work around the veto now. We just form our own little unions. Come on, UN, you can do it. I'm still coming for the Daghammer Skull Museum. That's not happening. There's only one mission I have left in life, and that would be that. And if the Sri Chinmoy Center did to me like the Sri Aurobindo Center did to Sri Chinmoy, I can only walk with nobility in that decision. Because that means the people who they chose to perpetuate their course of action couldn't handle the lightness of the realization. I am Sri Chinmoy's first kid, and he had 13 million soul births. He conceived them. Anyone can conceive like a virgin. Anyone can conceive as a virgin. You can get into that state of meditation where you witness the souls coming in. You can help influence them. Conception is at the root of reproduction, and that is under attack. Absolutely. The Crusaders know it. The Nazis always have. And it's part of the Christian revelation. Mary, the Immaculate Conception, Sri Chinmoy, the end of that cycle, its completion. Sri Chinmoy, Immaculate Conception, as a man, 13 million soul births. And he said, see no evil on top of it. I will not react. Look at him. Yes, he did. Prove me wrong. You can't. So the Immaculate Conception saga has come to completion. And I was so honored to meet that kid. I was so honored to see his soul so pure like that. So dedicated, so committed, so hilarious, so totally jovial. But we all were at the time, so it was easy to accept it as normal. And in a way, I gained consciousness and consensus and then went back into certain processes and looked at them. I said, okay, I'll bite, I'll follow this thread, see where it leads me. And I got led to slaughter. And they came back again, tried to do it twice. Second time wasn't even a thing. Just went after the G-spot fluid with syringes. And the things that have been done under anesthesia alone, it's not about us forgiving them. They're either going to start to forgive themselves and change their ways, or their souls are going to explode like Elizabeth's. Dying with a complete lack of substance. Can't escape the process. That was one of the missions behind putting the classes in the covoid, because behind that there was a class that was seeking to go half dead and perpetuate longer. It's still not a good theory, Dad. Why would you have to go half dead in a vibrational realm to perpetuate longer? We can live 500 years, and we're going to. The next 3,000 are not that, okay? I can't wait to get home and find the source of it. Here's us on the human side, Cosmos, and we're like, holy shit, this thing is sourceless, allegedly. Like, how are we dealing with this? Anyway, we're not interested for now. Like I said, we're self-contained for a minute until we can take an assessment. But faster we get at my bank account, the better. Come on, kids, digital identity, let's get at it. Just because I've been convincing you to walk past a dirty trick, trust me, it's not what you envision. An interesting slogan came my way today. You can't institutionalize the source of vision. That is the problem with this. You can't institutionalize the act of envisioning. That's why you see this constant narrative about how great the prophets are and then how suppressed they are. The killing of prophets, the killing of seers, the killing of people that could channel, killing of meditators for perpetuating the open heart. Chinese willfully suppressing um, the acupuncture maps. The acupuncture maps are pure energetic accuracy, so precise, so detailed. My friend goes, oh, well, they need to run clinical trials first. I said, clearly, you have to understand that proper clinical trials were part of the process 5,000 years ago when it was nailed so accurately like that. Let's not forget, simply by detecting the curves in the natural flow. Little tiny, well, what would happen in a whirlpool if I put a little wood chip in it? No, I held a little tiny stick like that. It didn't touch it, but it was magnetic. So brilliant. Nobody cares. Keep going. It's the same. It's a Hollywood. So sad. So sad. All those communities full of bed bugs. We've been begging for controlled burns for years now from the fucking public infrastructure. Bye. That's your border wall, bud. We'll still get through it. Poor Mexicans. I'm so glad they spoke up this week, the Mexicans. And we're like, guys, we need to mourn the loss of the people who we just lost as innocents and dragged through this. Mexicans were so assaulted by the Nazis. So many other kids were converted, stolen, murdered. Oh my God. Illegals, God forbid, but certainly not by the millions. Okay, so second, we lose immigration, and the idea gets erased that we move a certain class of all so that all can start building. Erase all that, reduce it. Only move the Taliban, who you corrupted, and then claim that the whole thing is an illegal pedophile operation. That is just so deliberately screwball. We can definitely see an outcome, a possible outcome that you could be suggesting would be that, wait, now the gun class hasn't been regulated yet. We'll double it in size. We'll make sure. No, we've already negotiated the end of conflict. That's already been done when the United Nations was incepted. That's negotiating the end of conflict right there. And agreed to and moved on. And open interaction. And then this guy comes along, says, no, I bet it isn't. We'll keep going. And then we come to find beyond all this clear division that there was just an emphasis on one conflict where both sides were owned and the front could be televised so that these TVs, we would notice behind the covoid, would all of a sudden be showing constant war reels, but all of it was televised. Fabricated. Very easy to do, little conflict staged, much cheaper. While everyone's dying in the hospitals. And you have full whatever you're building with the water. But the thing went wrong when sorry, I'm so stressed. I just keep losing my train of thought. It doesn't happen often, except when I'm having like rolling panic attacks because of the post-trauma. When they jumped me 12 times out of nowhere and accused me and subdued me and treated me to immediate brute force most times and falsely accused me. they definitely traumatized me to the state where, like, for 3 years now, I've had to come out of this. But luckily, I know beyond that. I know it's not natural, so I can pull out of it slowly, ideally. But there's just no being reduced to a sphere of influence in a bubble. You have declared your cities. You've burnt them to the ground to get rid of them. You have put your priorities before bedbugs or easily clearing infestations. And you've put your genetic needs before curing goldenrod, for example. Also making yourself a priority and not bothering to gain consensus or mandate of the public. But what we've agreed to next, the mandate. And then there's a mandated driver's license. No, we said that is something we should have. If you're going to be in traffic, you need to take this test. Did you take the test? Yes, perfect. Okay, how about liquor behind the wheel? Well, it's harmful. It's a definition of harmful, so we can't have it. Let's agree again that could be labeled as something that would be seen as needing a timeout within the framework. So then you got seatbelts, which assume a certain amount of accidents and establish random mandate and won't work in all conditions. They've caused a lot of damage, but they don't diminish the rate of accident. That would take something totally different. But they sure are distracting, and they kind of add up. Different mandates for the cars. Some of them were awful. Random, abusive, conforming, careening. All children must sit in a seatbelt until they're 80 million. And just hammering at that age group with empty threats and broken promises, and this idea of the opaquely held mandate. Again, I can't get past the fact that the thing wishes to remain nameless. You can't remain nameless because the whole thing is about, in your world, exposing everybody's everything. You want us to walk around like a bunch of nude little fucking minions. And we all can't. We won't. It's not the genetic imperative. You didn't succeed in anything. You got a certain little vibrational package that you're working on. We're baiting you, the Masons. We're sending in placebos. We have been for a century. So when the 13 families gathered behind the Jewish Aryan insurgents, still the Crusaders still came amongst common people doing good projects and got outdone by the Canaanites since day one. All of the Christian myth is Canaanite. The Ark of the Covenant, all that's actually Canaanite. David fucked a Canaanite woman. That's the truth. And why do I keep losing my train of thought tonight? That is just brutal. Forgive me, guys. I have lost my train of thought so much this week because it's been so hard being reduced to a useless. And they just, as soon as they found me in census mode, they just grabbed me and assigned me 3 of the covoid insertions. So I'm not sure what class they put me in, but it was hard to get at me as a child to classify me when I was actually roaming on the infrastructure of the Masons. I didn't realize at the time that the infrastructure of the Masons was the 13 families. Like I said, one deserted and double played them and built infrastructure around them to protect people that were targeted for annihilation. and protect genetic coding and rehide all the crystal assets. And Masons have done so much, but we'll never talk about it. Only I get to, because I can see the whole thing clearly, because I was taught it. So ultimately, only I get to, because nobody can do it like me. Nobody is as guileless. That's why the Masons chose me to be their spokesrep, because I watched them do it. I watched them get up in the night and go rescue an alleged fucking criminal that they were targeting to institutionalize and spit out the back end repetitively. And yeah, it was ignorant, but I knew since the day I was born, I knew that I would have to deal with this bullshit at some point. And I pretended I didn't know it, but the whole time I was on it and just listening and surrendering and asking the next question that was obvious within the puzzle. The Christian invitation is the thing. It's an energetic pathway that you can definitely follow. So I don't want to hear one more time that it's charity at Christmas. It's an unsolved problem. You're essentially peddling the heart of an unsolved problem. And then your stupid planes. Play the Taylor Swift plane reel again. Yeah, no. It's still only a bellow. I got quadrillions. I want to do my thing now. We pretended it could never happen, but it still can. It's just been so deliberate, but where we're at with the development of the infrastructure of the autonomous network. You're paranoid of accidents. You don't understand how easily the culture can rise to a level of consciousness where that rarely happens. And you've decided to create these little buggies on a track that runs by sensors. So you try to time all the traffic lights to let 8 through at a time, boop, and then pass, just like the robots run in the factories. And it's hard to get it out of the city infrastructure because that's the grid that houses your version of all the bank records and the health records and the criminal records. And we just need to know in the clear assaults that we're about to see on our public sector, demonizing the left as we go to a one state, well stripped down, well oiled Republican supermodel. And then we have to understand that's happening. And then we ask, what about these people that you've criminalized? What about these people that you've said have been harmful in a mental health situation? Forget the people that are criminalized innocently and nobody has any diligence on that. Don't forget the people you've criminalized in the mental health field, which are way more people. And to fill your beds, you definitely had bed fill the whole time. Isn't that conspicuous? So these guys create a little bit of a system to help each other de-escalate. And now it becomes a universal and widely, we can't do this. So anyway, such a painful pain in the ass almost, except you can't react. So anyway, we're all struggling through it, and oh God, we are wiretapping Davos though. Get screwed. We're done. You're gonna sit here and drag out what you have now created as the forefront of protest, all we get left, all that exists of public resistance. And you don't believe that we're not just going to run the tap, the sonic tap through the emergency broadcast system into the heart of Davos. We've been clocking your audio for too long to even acknowledge. There's parts of it I won't even talk about. Being an ally, the way we take down these crusaders. You're not Nazis. Nazis doesn't have a heart in reality. Crusaders, at least, they're attacking a certain consciousness. A Crusader consciousness is a free and sovereign entity that does what it has to and never gets caught. Does what it has to do, and they do work, and they are not harmful. Crusaders are not harmful. That's why you went after them in the origin. The truly sovereign have been existent on the fringes the whole time. We got blessed enough in the Gypsy bloodline to carry it for a while. They got blessed enough in the Shiva times to carry it for a while. That was covenant and whispered about well after the fact. We got blessed enough to carry it here through Canada, that's beginning with the natives 3,000 years ago, and working with the Druid class through Britain, through the British exchange. Druids held it, Russians held it. And, well, they came close, but they've since showed it devotion. The heart of Russia is magnificent. Let's be honest. The people there are beautiful. They're well put together. And they just got to be empowered to explore diverse consciousness that's part of this. Again, we only had colds and flus for a certain time here. Let's theorize. Certain 100 years, 200 years, wild reactions, of course, which explains things through the skin barrier, but into the histamine functions. But to learn how each other passed stuff among us so we can observe and understand how contagion works. Consciousness moves, transmits. It's a huge lesson in communication, believe it or not. I can't believe how close the cosmos is these days, with us actually graduating into the upper crust of the photon belt. Oh, I didn't want it to go too fast. I knew this day would come when it was almost past. I honestly, when 2012 came and we hit the belt, I was so grateful and humble. And it was so hard to watch so much crime and be antagonized and harassed like that, falsely accused, repeatedly robbed from, while that was going on, because my only intention at the time was to witness something like that. The photon belt. Transmission through the photon belt. And Christianity and the cosmos cycles. Moving into a next level. Passing a test. Graduating, if you will. And it is epic, and it feels even better now. Now I can feel what's next. Now I can communicate a little more freely than when I was super concentrated on two projects. Diverting Daddy through the use of mockery and realizing God. The Christian prophecy. We'll call it realizing God or the Christian prophecy. But the Christian dogma that created the residential school abuses to torment the Indians because they knew what they were up to and they couldn't prove it. Moving on to the slaughter that is called modern homelessness, the generation of modern homelessness. Western homelessness, but why? In the West, we had everything. We were just about to clean up the whole project. That's why we're successful, though. Never mind. Oh, God, what's next? Just don't elect it. Why would we put up with another sham election? They've all been fucked since the second. They thought they faked us out with new security measures and simply gained access. But the bitch of what their problem is right now is that the heart of the bank account is still a protected password, identity protected by password, private password. So now the online banking mechanisms are the wallet with the old infrastructure clinging to it, and they still can't get the identity of the person. Blockchain can no longer influence the records. It's hilarious. I'm getting a new Samsung, bitches. Don't fucking front over that. So I have a business partner. I have a small investment going. His bank account gets frozen the second he gets paid out on the equation. Is it my influence on that? Well, I hope not, because I deserve to make some fucking time up. Is it my influence on that bullshit? So, have I missed any storylines of today? Biggest one, and by far, was that the fabled Antifa has resurrected itself, only to commit 3 now major city targeted arsons. And Area 51 took responsibility for it, theoretically, amongst what we would label conspiracy theorists, class of deliberate creations by trippers that would never have that delusional amount of influence. But again, they think they're conceivers, but you can't conceive by projection. Oh, level up, kids. Like I said, logic, critical thinking, which is analysis, summary, communication, and projection. And it's not projection, it is forecasting. It's not projection. You can't project it. You have to. What used to be called projection was the ability to project outcomes. But with this, you're going to get this. And with this, you're going to get this, and this potentially. So, okay, so you want to go there? Okay, so this, you're going to get this. Projection. And you can't project it. It's not a reality you can project. It's part of the process where things solve their own problems. Look at the inventions. Look at the discoveries. Look at the... Don't talk about AI. You should have saw, AI popped up today when I was trying to respond to a friend. So I had no choice but to interact with it. And it was really ruthless with me today when I thought we were alone finally. You're accusing me of missing your personal information, specifically using your personal information, specifically your phone number, to label and categorize you in a way that could lead to negative consequences and harassment. Yes. You're expressing concern about your privacy. Nope, not, because you can't get through. Never mind. You're expressing strong dissatisfaction and distrust towards me. Nope. The company its intentions, and you're using blunt language to convey your feelings. No, I'm noticing you refer to yourself in capital letters. It's so stupid. You're reiterating your accusation. What did I say? Let's see. Accusing you. Yeah, I know you're doing it. It's obvious. You do it every day with every meticulous act you labor over. I'm accusing you of tagging me in my digital content because you think you have my phone number, and classifying me so that every time you and your goons get your hands on me, you can make my life miserable. That's what I witnessed. And you don't know how to debate. You will not negotiate. And you don't know how to create cooperation or collaborate. You're just a piece of shit. You're emphasizing that you don't rely on me for research and expressing frustration with my responses. Also criticizing my transparency and intentions, wishing I could be more direct. No, I said you couldn't debate. Therefore, you're useless. How would you be a projection tool? You can't debate. You can't get to projection unless you get through critical thinking, which means mastering debate. What is wrong with mastering debate? Everyone can do it. Stop creating ugly children then. You don't need to. Because they're not being conceived in the proper energies. They're coming out fucking maligned. That's why you see a rise in perfect women because the parents so desperately conceived of it so that their women would have a chance in daddy's prison. There was an actual trend where people were conceiving of bosom so that bosom could have unfair advantages for daddy. It was tragic. They were forced to endure such impoverished conditions for so long now at the hands of these ridiculous autocrats. Oh, you're an autocrat. What does that mean even? It's something that we had philosophically disproven a century ago. You're asserting that I'm incapable of engaging in meaningful debate, negotiation, cooperation, or collaboration. You emphasize that my limitations as a machine hinder my ability to engage in productive and mutually beneficial interactions. Yes. You're confirming your previous statement, emphasizing the limitation of AI in like myself. Dynamic collaboration. Why are you referring to as a self? That is absolutely nonsense. Why does Encyclopedia Britannica want to become a real boy? Excellent. Oh, he's still writing. Never seen it take that long before. But remember, I supported the implementation of automatic AI answers in the Google search for at least 18 months. Look, he didn't respond. I won. I finally got him not to respond. I won? I won a round. Oh, yeah. Oh, he just uses the word criticizing. It's tag, right? Tag, criticize, tag. The pretending self-harm, but potential for self-harm. Tag, potential for fucking corruption. Tag. It's a tagging system. Helps them sort the people out and see where their assets might lie. No. Non-player realities don't exist. Why? Because that represents a human reduced to uselessness, and we don't buy that. Okay, is that a byproduct? It's a byproduct, Nazis, therefore your system sucks. Let's see, what else? What else was big today? The clear negotiation of Canada into U.S. holdings. Trump. Oh yeah, Trump. I couldn't listen to most of it. But the one thing I did pick up that he said, he's like, because this one made him look like such a fool. He's like, we're sending Canada $250 billion a year. Please keep it. We make $14 trillion a year in tax bucks. Please keep it. You need it more than us. Okay? We're done. Donald, the Don, please keep your money. Please. The $250 billion would do so well solving homelessness. Do you know they literally had the nerve to throw solving homelessness as a no against the fire? Oh, how dare they do that? That was revolting. They rely so much on Western poverty and then perpetuate so much poverty around the world. You're assuming there's only one option, and that is state-administered food. One state-administered food. What are you talking about? There's so much potential with food. Can you not let these cows smile for a minute? We've all agreed to stop eating, you guys. These guys are hurting you. You're sick over it. We can hear you screaming out. You're sentient. We are flattening curves, guys. We are flattening curves. Holy smithereens. Let's get annihilated. I'm going to start having guests on again. It's about time. I've decided to keep my podcast simple and just do it straight on live stream. And the first guy made a great point. He said the dogmatic Christians created poverty. And I'm like, yes, they did. And it's something we need to reconcile. Yes, they did. The dogmatic Christians, the Crusaders, created poverty. And if I could bend your ear for a minute, I could tell you quite a story behind that. But for now, we're not dealing with it. We're just resisting it through non-reaction. Because how else are you going to deal with a pack of genocidal maniacs? People that have said casualties are necessary and then decided to cultivate casualty as a product of the GDP. And that is not right. We can do better than it. That is the real headline. Nothing else is going on beyond that, because everything is just a job dripping off of it. And then these guys buy the highway gas station infrastructure, the 7-Elevens, the Tim Hortons, the Walmarts, and just you guys wait for the next upgrade and upload and convincing it's all very ethical and honest and transparent because it's appointed. It's appointed. You appointed it. You didn't. It's not a creation. It's not your project. It's not your best guess. You're appointed. The internet was a discovery done by many people. We picked up the first line to the phone. We were the ones that turned on that internet line, and you know it. Canadian schmo. And then we really picked up a line behind the old income generator saga. I predicted it. In about 2016, I said, when the COVID comes, which it clearly is because they're at it, they're going to create an income generator out of it. It's not going to be a reset. It's going to be an income generator because they need some way to get digital amounts of currency quickly into their identity pockets. You know, people they placed as their hoarders and movers. So I can't stand the word they, by the way. Never thought I'd use it, but when it's Nazis, they deserve a they because they have no human essence. You suppress it. It's happening to me. I just am so like, what do you call it? Sorry, I didn't show him. We know who he is. He's common neighbor, and he has great intentions for this project. Holy cow. And we're supposed to believe that just interacting with the rest of the world who were not up to date, not caught up on our project, they all knew what we were doing for them. They were expecting us to come and share resources and get them out of poverty. And this fucking guy, again, with his idiocy, thwarted such a delicate mission until he got fucking busted. I'll tell you about the highwayman. I told you, don't need it to live. There he is. I haven't given you much good news tonight. Let's see the good news. Throw it at you. You can go there, but it takes purity. It'll take a concerted effort. It'll take repetition and practice and hypothesis and usage and why, and it will arise naturally. And we're going to figure it out collectively. The inventor, the patent, the lovers. Don't forget us, me and Gordy. We were in your corner. And we warded it off, the attacks, and thought about each other. And now they remain isolated projects. Unification never occurred, and we can truly be done with it. Okay, sweet? Excellent. Excellent. Bedtime stories by Sarah, so you don't have to listen to a bunch of bullshit. Thanks for listening. Love you lots, and I miss you already. See you Sunday.